At the same event, I did, merry-go-rounds, Airtracks, merry-go-rounds, and all that, and that's when airflare started to happen. Iron Monkey got airflare, Mega Man got airflare, they were doing airflare into windmills. Ivan was the first of all of us to do airflares, at least as far as we saw. And he was doing windmill airflare, windmill airflare, windmill airflare, flare airflare, windmill, and all of that. And that's when everything started to happen. Shortly after that, 97, I got airflare, and I was able to do both, Airtrack and airflare, and I differentiated. I would do, I would do an Airtrack and catch it and go into airflare. I would do things like that, try to get real creative with it. Or I would use airflares for some moves, Airtracks for other moves. Like I would use airflare for windmills or flare, and I could do, airflare and flare back in 97. But I would use Airtrack for the walks. I would do merry-go-round Airtrack and the walks, and all that. And then there was Charles. Charles was one of the other people that got the flare airflare into windmills, and then flare airflare flare in early 1998. He was, I believe Charles was the first of us to get. No, I think I was the first one to get it into flares. It's hard to remember now. It was within our crew. Nobody else was doing it outside of our crew. Airflare to flare, but I forget which of us was first. It was me, Charles, and Mega Man that were doing airflares into flares at this time, late 97, early 98. I just don't remember which of the three got it first. But Pablo hadn't even started yet. He was just doing long 20-move, 30-move combos without airflares, because that's what Charles and Pablo always did in Mega Man. They always did long combos, because that was the old Cali style, 1992, 1995, that era, all about long combos. Like, you remember Jazzy J, he would do just forever combos. Jazzy J wasn't the only one, there were a lot of people doing that, and Mega Man and Charles and Pablo were three of the best at that. Gerald from Rock Forest was another one, or Chaos Crew was his old crew before he was in Rock Forest. There were a lot of people that did stuff like that, real long combos. That was the thing to do. And then there was Freestyle Session 2, and I went back at that, and that's when Mega Man, Sean, pulled out, airflare to Halos for the first time. Inferno did windmill elbow airflare, windmill elbow airflare 3 times in a row against the Japanese guys, and people just didn't know what to do because it was so new. It was a new move, and it was like, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to give it props, because it was too different. But during '98, that's when everything went to hell. That's when all this stuff happened. We all had it down. We all had all these combos with airflare. Ivan had all his combos. Iron Monkey had airflare and then into aerial. A double windmill where you do a windmill, you drill in the air twice, land back on your back. Iron Monkey got that. He was the first that I've seen do that. And then finally, one day, Charles decides to teach Pablo, which is weird because Pablo was Charles' teacher. Pablo taught Charles all these different power move combos and how to get his form straight and everything and real perfect and solid and all that. But then, Charles flipped the switch and taught Pablo how to airflare. And Pablo learned how to airflare in one day. The first day he learned how to airflare, he got it to flares, he got it to headspins, he got it to 90s, and he got it to a second airflare in one fucking day. That's how talented this guy was. It was unbelievable. This is all in summer, fall, 1998. There was this jam thrown by Fat Pounds. Fat Pounds is a t-shirt company that was owned by several people, but one of them was B, the second letter, who was a b-boy locker from Master Movement's crew. It's another local Cali, LA area crew from my generation, from the early 90s. And they threw this jam. That was the first time that Pablo came out and did these combos. He did airflare, flare, airflare, flare, airflare, flare. Everybody went crazy because now people were starting to get it. Oh, that's an airflare. That's a very hard move. That's an impossible move because only Soul Control and Iron Monkey and Ivan can do it, and nobody else in the world. except Benny. Benny learned it too, by watching us. Actually, Benny came to practice with us several times, and he was just like, "What the?" He saw me do merry-go-round, airflare, merry-go-round, 90, all these combos with airflare. He saw all of us learning it, doing it, and doing combos with it. He went right back to Germany, Switzerland actually. He went back to Switzerland, and he learned everything, but from watching us. And so there was Fat Pounds Jam. Charles, Pablo, Marcio entered the battle. You know, Pablo doing his airflare flare, everyone going crazy, and he does his airflare 90. And when he does airflare 90, when he does airflare flare, everyone's going crazy because they realize airflare to flare is like the dream combo, is what everybody wishes they could do. And he's doing it over and over and over and over. You know, when he did it, there was nobody watching. But when he did it, everybody ran to the circle and looked. Wow, he's doing it. But when he did airflare 90, the crowd just was like blank, like they didn't know what they were seeing, which is really strange, you know, because you would think airflare 90 is even harder than airflare flare. You would think, especially back then when nobody could do it, you know. But people just didn't understand, and people were talking about it after, saying like, "Did he do airflare 90? Like, I don't understand how that's possible." Like, so that explained why people were so silent about it. It's really funny, really funny. And then it was the next month. This was October. It was November 1998 that first Session 3 happened, and we all entered. And then we brought Eric along. That was Eric's first time getting out there and dancing with us as a crew. And Marcio was there too. And Eric and Marcio were partners. They had the long ponytails and they did routines together and all that. But Pablo came out and did the same combos, you know, airflare flare, airflare head spin, and then, you know, 2 air flares for the first time. He did 2 air flares in that battle, and then he did the airflare 90 combo. You know, airflare 90, windmill, flare, and then 2 air flares out of that at the end of the combo. It's a crazy combo. When we battled Flying Tortilla, Storm, Ivan, Poe, forget the other guys. The other guys, man, so Super Dave and some other guy from East Coast. Okay, pulled out that combo. Even then, people still didn't get it. Like when he did air flare to flare, they cheered, they went crazy. But when he did airflare 90, it was like, I don't know what that is. I can't clap for it because I don't know what he did. And then right after that, I mean, like with the next couple of months, by Freestyle Session 4, Pablo came out again and did some of the same combos, you know, but by then people had seen it, understood it, grasped it, and copied it, you know, learned it from watching Pablo. And suddenly, it's like, now, because I can do the same things that Pablo does, maybe I can even do them better than Pablo, I'm not going to respect Pablo. And that's what started happening, and it was a really sad thing, you know. And it became that way for our whole crew. You know, we had done a lot to pioneer airflares, you know, to bring them to the world. It wasn't just for our own ego, it was because we knew that somebody has to do it. You know, this has to happen. This is such an amazing move that, you know, everybody dreams of doing this move. Back then, 10 years ago, everyone dreamed of doing it. Nobody could do it, you know. And we knew somebody had to do it, so we did it, and we gave it to the b-boy world. It was our gift to the b-boy culture, you know.